Hello, this is Don Lee here, and I welcome you back to the training. And today we will talk about tracking your performance for your self-study plan, and also if you're in the one-on-one coaching program or taking lessons outside, whatever it may be, this is a training module on how to track your performance for your English. And so I'll be taking you through a spreadsheet that I've created for you, and it's going to fit to your self-study program, and you're going to see how you're able to track each action item that you have and really see for yourself on a quantitative level the numbers that you're reaching. You're able to track your performance on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, and also see comparing your previous month's performance to your current month. So it's good to have, and it's going to be a essential tool for you to use when you're creating your habits and keeping through on your daily routine. It's a very important lesson, and I hope you get the most out of it. And without further ado, I want to get right into the lesson. So this spreadsheet's available for download. It's going to be in either the Google Drive folder that's shared with you or in the resources section. It's called your SSP tracker, and you can download it as a Microsoft Excel file or a Google Sheets, which is the one that I'm showing you here. I would recommend that you use it with Google Sheets just because it's real-time based and you can access it from your browser. You can update it at any time, and you'll just always have it online. So that's what I would recommend. And what I'm going to show you here is the performance dashboard. Here we've got our average student performance benchmarks. And so these are the averages of our students, current students, with their benchmarks. So this is a monthly. And as you can see, I've got beginner, we have intermediate, and advanced. And these are all the benchmarks that you can refer to when you're building out your SSP tracker. So it just goes all the way through, and you don't have to worry about what all these columns represent. Not yet. I'll be going through each and every one of them with you here, but this is just your performance dashboard. And again, this will show you the average student performance benchmarks on a monthly basis by the level of the student, as well as the metrics, as we call them, which is your video, listening, speaking, all the way through to the Enki at the end here. So below that, we've got your performance. So this is all of the months combined. As you can see in the bottom tabs here, we've got January through December. So this is your cumulative total. So it's all added up here, as you can see. These are all of the totals that are added up for each column. And below the all month totals, you've got your percent average. And just to quickly show you what that would mean, is if I go to a tab in January, and this is already filled out for example purposes, yours would be all empty, but just for example purposes, I'm showing you something here. And don't worry about all of this yet. I'll be going through each and every one of them with you here today. What I just want to show you is percents or percentages. And as you can see, there's all these percentages for each columns here. And what I want to pinpoint here is the bottom one here, which is January. So how we get this score is your total months combined, your grand total of the column. So every week we've got the total amount of either minutes or words that you've read, but it's all tallied up in this cell. And this comes from your each day score, right? So if you had 10 minutes of video watching on the 2nd of January, then that's going to be added into your total score for January week 1. As you can see, this would be week 1. And that's added up into here. And that's a total of 60 minutes that you've watched in week 1. Next is you want to look at this, which is your goal, right? You've said that your goal on a weekly basis is 40 minutes. So you've actually went over your goal. And that means when you look at your percentages for week 1, It's the total minutes that you've watched in week one divided by the goal that you've set for yourself for weekly watching video. So that comes out to be 150%. And if you average that up for all weeks, then you have your total score, right? So going back to the performance dashboard, what this is just an average of all the months that you've done. So for just example purposes, this sheet, I filled everything out until June. So nothing has been filled for July and beyond. So for January, February, March, April, May, June, June, all the way until June, it's been filled. So the average of that would be 86%. And what this basically means is you were reaching your goals 86% of the time. And if your target was for 6 months and it was 1,800 minutes watched, and by the end of the 6 months you only reached 1,650, then that means you had 150 left, which goes with your average, because if you were at 100%, you would have reached your goals and you would have had nothing to reach. This would be zero, essentially. So that's what this means. That goes for the same for all of your other columns here. So that's what each of these rows would mean, right? This row here is your total minutes watched for all months. And this is the percent average of you meeting your goals on a monthly basis. And this is your target that you've set, right? This is all numbers that you set yourself. And based on the target, you had 150 left, right? So that's what it's showing for all months. So when you first start off, it's going to start from your first month. As you tally more numbers in, these will increase and you'll start seeing your averages show up. And it's just good to see, right? It's good to see, are you going over your goals? Are you going under? Are you matching your goals? So this percentage will just give you a good snapshot. And then this is just a number that you set yourself. And this is how many you have left to reach your target. This is also significant when you just want to know how much is left. If you go to a common example would be when you're going on a hike, and as you go up the mountain, there's a quarter mark, halfway mark, 3/4 mark, and you just know how much you have left. And just knowing that helps you push yourself to reach your target. With that said, I want to get into our monthly sheets here. I want to just go with January, and as you can see, you've got the dates here for you. Then you've got your individual cells that represents either the minutes watched for video, minutes listened to for Audible, Blinkist, podcast, or sources that you're using to listen. You're recording total minutes. And this is for speaking. So if you are in a one-on-one coaching program with us, or you have a teacher, this is where you would log in how many minutes you've spoken during class. In each column, I have notes that will explain what this means, right? So for this one, it's videos, total minutes watched. It could be YouTube, Netflix, or other. This is listening, total minutes listened, Audible, Blinkist, podcast, other. Speaking, so total minutes spoken, right? And this is based on having 2 sessions per week, with each session being 1 hour. I've recorded this as 80% of speaking time during the 1 hour class, which would give you 48 minutes. And that's just to give you some bearing, right? Some students are speaking less than that. If you are a lower level, it tends to be less speaking. If you're a higher level, like advanced, then it will be 80% up most to 90%. And that is what you record here, 2 sessions a week. And reading, it's actually the total number of words that you've read. We're not going by minutes, or we're not recording the time that it takes to read. We're just going with the actual number of words. And how you could calculate that is multiplying the pages that you've read times by the estimated words per page for that particular book or article or whatever source that you're using for your plan. And how you can go about doing that is copy and paste the words from a PDF, which is maybe your article, and then copy and paste it into a Google document or a Word document. And then from there, if you go into Tools, and you can get into word count. And the word count will give you how many words you have for that page. So then once you get an estimated number of words per that page, then you just multiply by how many pages you've read. And that's what you'll record. So this is just an average of what I found out to be true. I've got 380 words per page for a Harvard Business Review article, and that's pretty standard. You know, of course, give or take a few, and you'll get maybe 400 words per page, maybe 300 if it's got charts and graphs and pictures. But on average, you're getting, it's a pretty specific number too, but I got 384. And 363 pages for a printed book. So if you're using a printed book, I found out that on average, there's about 363 words per page. If you're using a Kindle book, surprisingly, we had about 750 words. So this is just an estimate. I would recommend, if you're doing your own thing, do your own calculations, just because you want to have your numbers to be exact. So this is just for example, and I'm just giving you a reference point when you're calculating your own numbers. So this is basically how many words I've read on a daily basis, and I would just record in each cell the words that I've read. And for writing, it's pretty much the same thing, except you're writing the words as opposed to reading. So I'm not going to go into explanation here, but you can go through the notes and read what I have for you here to get a better sense of what these numbers mean. But basically what I've written down here is, let's say on this day, I wrote 970 words. So that's what I would be writing down. And again, this is just purely example. Most of you will not be writing every day. But I just wrote these numbers in to for demonstration purposes. And so then this here is Anki, and this letter represents conversational. So Anki C means Anki for conversational. And for this, you should have the Anki deck that's got 2,000 words for conversational. This is daily conversational. And if you finish that, you should have also the Anki deck for business conversational, which will also have 2,000 words for you. So when you first start off with our program, you'll get these two Anki decks to get started. So you'll have daily conversational, which is 2,000 of the most commonly used words in conversation. And once you finish that, you'll move on to a 2,000 most commonly used words in business conversation. So that just means I'm doing 6 words on a daily basis, right? Again, this all depends on your target and your schedule, meaning have you set your target for 6 months, or did you set it up for 12 months? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 months? Right? It all depends on your plan. So for me, for example purposes, I think this is for, if you look here, I believe this number comes out to be for 1 year. So if I do 6 every day, that comes out to be about 180 words, and 180 words times 12 months comes out to be about just over 2,000, right? 2,100 something. So that's how I came up with these numbers. But again, it all depends based on your target and your schedule. Next, I have Anki Conversational Review. So this column is to study new words. Conversational Review is reviewing the words that you've studied either the previous day or on any given day that you've studied. There's going to be always a review function. And it's crucial that you do reviews. So if you don't have a review in your plan, I highly recommend it. Without the review, you're not going to be able to remember things. And if you do have a review in your plan, you'll have a higher retention rate of the materials that you've learned. And that's crucial for learning new vocabulary. So you must have review. So again, I just plugged in some numbers here. And next, I have Anki for targeted topic. So if you have, this is based on your desired fluency. So if you're reaching native, then 1,000 words in targeted topic is your target, should be your goal. And again, I think this is based off of 6 months, right? So I said I want to reach this 1,000 words for targeted topic in 6 months. So that's why I'm doing 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Whereas Anki Conversation for 2,000, based on these numbers, I'll be finishing in 1 year, 12 months. So most of you should have a targeted topic, and typically it would be the function that you're in for business, or a hobby, whatever it is, you should have a targeted topic that you want to learn about, and the words that you acquire in this targeted topic is what you log in here. Same thing for review. You're learning what you studied with your targeted topic. And then Anki B is benchmark. So B is short for benchmark. And this is the benchmark speaker. For those of you that have picked out your benchmark speaker based on your desired fluency, you'll be acquiring 1,000 if you're reaching for native, 800 for advanced, 500 for intermediate, right? Those should be your standard targets. And based on 6-month schedule, I should be doing 6 words per day to reach my 1,000 word target in 6 months, right? Because I'm desiring native fluency. And again, BR is benchmark review. Now, DC is dictation for conversational. So if you go back here in this column, this was for Anki Conversational, and you should have these 2 decks already. Anki DC is you're doing dictation based off of these cards. Currently, these cards are being created. We're actually creating them on the back end of our business. We're creating dictation cards for you. So this is a great way to practice your listening and learning how to dictate what you listen to. And so you're doing, again, these are the numbers that you've plugged in based on your target and your schedule. Anki DCR is just reviewing of your dictation for conversation. And this is your dictation for targeted topic. This is your dictation for targeted topic review. This is Anki for dictation benchmark, and Anki for dictation benchmark review. So that comes to a close on what each of these columns mean. Again, this is just one version of your SSP tracker, because if you're not doing reading in your plan, which I don't recommend, you should be doing reading, then you may not want to have this in your tracker. So if you don't want that, you can just right-click the column. You want it all highlighted, go to hide column, which will basically just hide it from your sheet. So you're not going to see it, right? You're only doing that because you don't have reading as part of your plan. So let's just also say you're not doing Anki Conversation or the review. Let's say that's not part of your plan. Then you just want to hide the columns. Well, let's just say you're only doing your targeted or your benchmark, right? So this is what will look like. Hide columns. Just highlight all of these columns here. Right click and hide columns. So then you just made it much more simpler. You've only got a couple things that you're doing on a daily basis, which would be watching your video, listening to an Audible book, speaking with your coach, and then writing, if writing is important to your plan, and Anki for your benchmark, right? Acquiring words from your benchmark speaker, and then your benchmark review. So that could be one version, right? So you want to play around with this. I'm giving you a full comprehensive tracker. It's up to you how you want to use it. So let's say you want to open up what you've hidden, then all you got to do is double click on the arrow. Sorry, not double click, you just need to click it once. Just click it once, and it will open the hidden columns back up for you, right? Easy. So moving on to the next phase here, I want to talk about goals. So goals, this will not change once you've set your numbers in. So once you set these in, just copy and paste it into all sheets. It's just good to have, and it's actually part of the formulas that I've created. It's all based on the goals here. So once you set your goals, you want to plug it in into each sheet, right? So each sheet, you want to plug it in. So set your goals up. You can refer to the performance dashboard and see what the average benchmarks are for the level. So if you are an intermediate, then you want to be looking at these numbers. If you're advanced level, then these are the benchmarks that you want to be referring to. Again, this is just to refer, and these are just averages. You can have a complete different set of goals, but I'm just giving you a reference point. You can definitely create your own goals based on your different time frame, your different desires. But once you do set up your goals, you've got your weekly, meaning this is how much this is your target for your weekly. You've got your monthly, which is just multiplying that by 4, and quarterly goals, and your yearly, right? So you got weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And you want to fill all of this in. And again, it's contingent on your time frame. Are you going after your goals in 3 months? Is that a 6-month plan, a year plan? So that will be your goal here. Another thing that you can do is, well, let's move down and I'll talk about the color code. So don't worry about these colors just yet. These subtotals are what will change. Here, it's just a sum of your week 1 numbers, right? So all of these are added up into here, and that's reflected in all columns and all of these rows here for you from January week 1 all the way through the 5th week here. Okay, now the color code is, I've colored in these individual cells based on the code. Now if I was under the goal, then I would highlight it in yellow. If I was over the goal, it'll be in blue. If I match the goal, I'll highlight it in green. If I've missed a week, right? If I got nothing there due to a business trip and I had to miss an entire week, then I would just highlight it in red. So here, because if you look at the goal, I went over, right? I've went over the goal that I've set for myself, then I just highlight this in blue, right? And to do that, you would go here, fill the color in, and you can just really set any color you want, right? This is just an example, but you can just highlight it in blue. And this is 60, so actually matched my goal. So then I would just highlight this in green, and this I went below my goal. So I actually did not reach my goal for speaking for this particular week. So I highlighted this in yellow, and so on and so forth. And it's good to just color them. It's for clients that are using this, they said it's kind of rewarding in a sense that when they go above their goals and they highlight it in the color that they desire, then it feels good, right? It all works for different people, right? It all works differently for people. So if you don't need to do the colors, then you don't need to do it. But it does add an emotional element to it. And we do like colors, right? Colors have a way of working well with tracking something, and we're just visual people. So if you want to go with the colors, that is what it means. Then you've got your grand total, which is all of your weeks added up, and you've got your total numbers here for you. Okay, so this would be December. So what you'll see in other sheets is that you've got your current month. Now we're on the February. I would just want to show you that this score in January is from here. The reason why I put this in is that you can see how you've performed compared to the previous month. So you can see how you're doing based off of the past month performance, and you can see if you're going over or under. You can see which one is lacking, and that leads me to my next part of my tracking is I want to show you the percents. I've already mentioned that this is the total of your week 1 divided by your goal, right? So that's 30 divided by 40, which should give you 75%, right? So this is just showing you, are you meeting your goal? Are you not meeting your goal by percentage, right? So you can see that in some areas you're going way higher. So for me, I went literally 200% over my goal. So it just shows that I'm very focused on my writing, and it just shows that I'm very weak in my reading. So I got to improve on that for the next week. It shows you that I need to pick it up with my Ankies, especially for my benchmark. So then it's just good to know, right? Based off of percentage. Below this is your average, right? Average of all of your weeks in each section of your plan. Video, listening, Anki, so on and so forth. And then this gives you the percent average from the previous month. So this score is actually taken from here, right? This is just the same number that you see here, right? And this shows you how you're performing compared to the month before. So this is good to know. This is good to see. And this is all done for you. This is all done. You don't really need to touch any of this. This will all be shown based off of the numbers that you plug in here for your dailies, right? So if you got nothing here, you will see nothing here. So that is it. So I've got this, you'll see, you'll have this in your folder, and this is just for reference, right? And I've got nothing in July. So as you can see, and this is just a 6-month example, what you'll see though is this, which is your empty tracker. It's got nothing in there. So as you can see, nothing you'll see here. You'll see nothing in your months, right? This is all empty, right? This is all empty. It's got nothing here. And this is reflected in all your other sheets. So it's up to you to start with your current month that you're in. So if you're starting in July, then you want to get to work right away. And so if you just plug in these numbers, it'll all be shown here, just like I've shown you in this example. So you'll have these 2 copies. You'll have an empty copy, which will be for your own use. And you'll have this sheet to use as reference and to see how I've played around with these numbers and how I've created my tracker. So that brings us to an end for our SSP tracker. Oh, sorry, I want to just mention one thing. Now, this number is going to be you, right? You're going to plug in these numbers, and you also want to finalize on your month target. So in this example, I've set this plan up for 6 months. So for you, you also want to go for 3, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, you want to update this number. So if you're going for, let's say, 3 months, that's going to be a 3-month target, right? Oops. All right. And then for each of these cells, you're plugging in your target. Whether it's, again, if you look at this sheet, I've said for 6 months, I want to do 1,800. And if that is really indeed your goal, then you want to go 1,800. Right? And automatically this will populate 1,800 because you're taking your target minus your total. And since you haven't done anything, it's going to just show you as 1,800 to go. Same thing here. Let's say it's 2,000. which means at this current stage, you've got 2,000 minutes to listen. So you want to start plugging these numbers in. You'll have this, and you'll just get to work, really. And again, I tend to update the major worksheets on a quarterly basis. Some of them I tend to take a bit longer. So I think for the self-study planner tracker, my aim is to update it every half a year. I would say by the end of this year, I'll have 2020 self-study planner tracker ready for you. So it'll be all updated. For any major updates, I will explain, create a training module, and share it with you so that you know what has been changed. So you're always in the know. You're always in the loop. So that brings us to a close. I hope this was helpful. And if you are not using a tracker with your plan, I highly recommend that you do. You want to track what you're doing, and you want to know how you're performing. It's important to do in anything, especially when it comes to your English. You want to know your improvement. You want to know your progress. You want to know what is left to reach. And once you've reached your goals, you're doing the same thing over again every time, right? It's just a cycle. You follow the process, you reach your goal, then it's the next one. And when you have a process and you have a system, it becomes so easy to level up. And so I think this self-study plan tracker, it would be a great tool to use when you are creating your habits and reaching your goals on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. So I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you in the next training video. It's going to be quite exciting. So thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.